1944. The United States Air Force launches a campaign of precision daylight bombing missions on targets within Germany's mighty industrial complex, while the British Royal Air Force concentrates on carpet bombing German civilian targets during the night. On the ground, the Allied advance continues eastward towards the heart of the Nazi war machine, and invading Allied troops discover vast amounts of war booty, pillaged and looted by the German military from all over Europe, hidden in secret caches around Berlin. A United States Air Force B-25 Mitchell bomber survives the flak and swarms of night fighters in the skies over Germany and is sold to the Canadian military after World War II. The twin-engine bomber is converted into a cargo plane by the Canadian Air Force for the sole purpose of carrying valuable military cargo. Stationed just outside of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, the B-25 now proudly shows the Air Force insignia of Canada on her wings. On the morning of the 5th of January, 1953, ground crews spot a highly sensitive cargo being secretly loaded by special personnel into the bomb bay of the B-25. They are strongly advised not to talk about what they witnessed. A flight plan is filed outlining the journey to Sea Island Airport, just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. The cargo manifest lists the cargo hold as empty, and the flight is logged as a routine training mission. Captain Jack McIntosh is pilot and is a decorated war veteran of many bombing missions in the skies over Nazi Germany. Information is leaked that the B-25 was carrying $800,000 in cash and gold bullion to pay military personnel stationed on the west coast. What with swastikas also on board were crates that were from Adolf Hitler's personal hoard of the spoils of his war. Part of Hitler's personal hoard and allegedly aboard the ill-fated B-25 was the coveted Spear of Destiny. The Roman spear that pierced the side of Jesus Christ himself as he hung from the cross, as described in John 19:31-37. It is said that whoever holds the Spear of Destiny shall rule the world, good or evil. In 1938, Adolf Hitler ordered an armored company of SS troops to seize the Spear of Destiny from a museum in Vienna when he invaded Austria. The spear was then kept in a specially built underground bomb-proof bunker until finally, at the end of World War II, the historical religious relic was found in St. Catherine's Church, Nuremberg, Germany by invading American troops and returned to Vienna, Austria. Fanatical Nazi zealots claim that the Spear of Destiny that the United States returned to the Hofburg Museum in Vienna was a fake, and that the real Spear of Destiny was flown out of Germany by the United States Air Force. The weather forecast for January 15, 1953, called for clear skies during the day with squalls and storms in the evening. At the time of the crash, the skies were clear. The official explanation for the crash states that freezing rain jammed the bomber's wing flaps. According to this government-supplied theory, the plane, caught in an ice storm and unable to maintain altitude due to iced-up wing flaps, hit the lip of a ridge, ripping open the fuselage and spilling cargo across the top of the ridge as well as into a canyon below. The cash, gold and spoils of war may still be within the debris field. If the wing flaps were frozen and the bomber was struggling to maintain altitude, it would have been under full throttle and the propellers would have been spinning at maximum RPM at the time of impact. At the time of the crash, the bomber's propellers were in a feathered position and were not spinning, as can be clearly seen in this photo taken in 2004. Hours after the crash, a classic southeast storm blew into the coastal mountains around Vancouver, dumping snow on the wreckage and creating blizzard conditions at higher altitudes. The initial search was immediately called off as survival in the open after a severe plane crash was impossible. The wreckage did not burn, indicating that the fuel tanks were empty and the engines were not running when the aircraft slammed into the high-altitude ridge over Pitt Lake on its final approach to the Sea Island Airport. Was the lack of fuel deliberate sabotage, or human error? The following April, an extensive search by military personnel successfully located the wreckage and removed the bodies. The military search and rescue personnel found other remains, including parachutes, suitcases, jackets, boots, personal possessions, maps and classified documents, and burned them on site. They also left an aluminium plaque, stating that the wreckage was already located and not to report it. When an aircraft is carrying valuable cargo, they carry these plaques on board, according to an ex-Air Force officer. The military personnel who were present during the recovery moved the majority of the $800,000 worth of cash and gold bullion to an old gold mine shaft to the northeast of the crash site. The rest has never been recovered and is thought to be buried within the collapsed and inaccessible cargo fuselage. All of the military search and rescue personnel involved in the recovery soon died in another aircraft crash and were unable to return and retrieve their hidden treasure. The wreckage then sat undisturbed for 32 years until found by an old prospector searching for the lost mine of Pit Lake, the fabled gold mine of Sumac. The prospector's stash, consisting of rusting gold pans, shovels and tin cans, has been found close to the crash site. The prospector took with him a few interesting souvenirs, including a United States Air Force issue flare gun. These unfired flare gun shells, found within the wreckage, confirm this claim. The prospector reported it to the military in Chilliwack in January of 1985, and the authorities took him up to the location of the wreck in 3 huge helicopters. The trip was fruitless as it was the middle of winter, and the wreckage was still completely covered in snow. Many of the subsequent attempts to reach the mysterious crash site have failed due to the rough nature of the mountains it lies in. Helicopters and seaplanes have crashed and people have been seriously hurt trying to get to the crash site. Other than a few bits and pieces of the tail, such as parts of the tail gunner's window and navigation lights, all of the wreckage sits on a small bench on the back of a sloping ridge. The sharp angle of attack confined the wreckage to a small area. The bomber's huge wings are broken off the fuselage, and the 2 large engines are separated from the wings and are exposed at times of low snowpack levels, such as in the late summer. The rest of the year, the wreckage, including the main cargo fuselage, is completely obscured from view as it lays buried under a thick layer of winter ice and snow. Adventurers that have made it to the crash site during the summer months found no gold or cash, but they were unable to gain access to the main cargo compartment of the plane as it remained buried under the edge of the retreating snowfield. Global warming has since melted the lingering snowfield and released further secrets of the bomber. Those who know the location of the bomber wreckage are sworn into a sacred pact. Keep the location secret. Take others to the crash site if you must, but they, in turn, must also join the pact.
Well, this is the bomber site. Son of a bitch getting here. Bit of a panorama there and such. Oh yeah. She all blown up.